The wedding ceremony took place beneath twin moons, where Ambassador Lyra of the Volcari Empire bound herself to Colonel Marcus, Web of Earth, in an arrangement both governments called necessary. The war had dragged across 17 systems, bleeding both civilizations dry. This union would seal the armistice. Lyra watched her new husband with careful eyes during the reception. He moved with the easy confidence of a soldier, but his smile seemed genuine when he spoke to her people. The humans had negotiated from weakness. Their fleets shattered, their colonies burned. She expected resentment. Instead, Marcus offered her his hand and said he hoped they might become friends. "You don't have to pretend," she told him later in the gardens. Her crystalline skin caught the moonlight, refracting it in patterns her people used for subtle communication. "We both know what this is." Marcus leaned against a pillar, studying the alien flowers. "A chance," he said. "Maybe the only one either of us will get." The first months passed in diplomatic tedium. Lyra attended state functions with Marcus at her side, playing the role of devoted wife while the treaty solidified. The Volcari Admiralty relaxed. The human territories ceased their guerrilla strikes. Peace took root like winter frost, beautiful but fragile. Marcus never pushed her. He took the smaller bedroom in their shared quarters. He learned basic Volcari customs. When her people visited, he served them tea with hands that never trembled, never showed the warrior underneath. Lyra found herself appreciating his restraint, even as she wondered what thoughts moved behind those two calm eyes. 3 months into the marriage, the raiders came. The Krell Dominion respected no treaties. They saw the weakened state of both empires and struck the border station where Lyra and Marcus were conducting a trade negotiation. The attack came during the evening meal. Explosions tore through the outer decks. Atmosphere vented into space. Lyra grabbed the table as gravity fluctuated, her security detail moving to surround her. Marcus was already gone. She saw him across the chaos of the dining hall, moving through the screaming diplomats like water flowing downhill. He'd picked up a fallen guard's weapon. His expression had changed. The pleasant diplomat had vanished, replaced by something she recognized from battlefield reports. Something her people had learned to fear during the war. The first Krell breacher burst through the door. 8 feet of armored rage, wielding plasma cutters meant for ship hulls. Marcus shot it twice in the joints where armor met flesh. The raider fell. 2 more came behind it. Marcus threw himself sideways, rolled, came up firing. 1 shot per target. Center mass. Efficient. Brutal. Lyra's guards hustled her toward the emergency shuttles. She looked back and saw Marcus holding the corridor alone. Krell warriors poured through the breach like a dark tide. He should have run. Any sane creature would have run. Humans didn't run. Marcus moved between cover points with a speed that seemed impossible. He dropped his rifle when it emptied, drew a sidearm, kept firing. When that ran dry, he picked up a Krell weapon from a corpse. The raiders focused on him, trying to push through, and he made them pay for every inch. His face showed no fear, no anger, just cold calculation. A Krell blade caught him across the ribs. Blood darkened his flannel jacket. He staggered, regained his footing, and shot his attacker through the throat. Another blade came from the side. Marcus caught the warrior's wrist, broke it with a twist Lyra heard across the hall, and used the raider's own weapon to kill 2 more. The security teams finally rallied. Volcari and human soldiers established a defensive line. The Krell pulled back, regrouped, charged again. Marcus stood in the center of the fighting, coordinating fire teams with hand signals, pointing out weak points in the enemy formation. He'd stopped bleeding somehow. Adrenaline, perhaps. Or maybe humans just refused to die when death would be inconvenient. The battle lasted 14 minutes. When the raiders finally retreated, Dragging their wounded through the breach, Marcus was still standing. He was surrounded by bodies. His clothes were torn and burned. His hands shook as the combat hormones faded, but his eyes remained clear. Lyra approached him slowly, the way one might approach a predator, uncertain whether the hunt had ended. "You were supposed to escape with me," she said. Marcus looked down at the weapon in his hands, as though surprised to find it there. He set it carefully on the ground. "Someone had to slow them down. You nearly died." "Yeah." He touched his side where the blade had cut him. "Probably should have." The medical teams arrived. They tried to take Marcus to the infirmary, but he refused until every other wounded person had been treated first. Lyra watched him sit against a wall, pressing a field dressing to his ribs, checking on the people around him, asking their names, thanking them. Later, in their quarters, she found him staring at his hands. "I thought humans had evolved beyond this," Lyra said. She'd poured him water, uncertain what else to offer. "Your ambassadors spoke of peace, of cooperation." Marcus accepted the glass. "We did evolve. We chose peace." He paused. "But evolution doesn't erase what we were. It just teaches us when to let it out. What you did back there scared you." "No." Lyra sat across from him. In the dim light, her crystalline features seemed to glow. It explained things. The war reports never made sense. Your people were outnumbered, outgunned. You should have surrendered after the first year. Instead, you fought for 7. Marcus met her eyes. "Would your people have surrendered?" "We considered it. The cost was too high." She gestured around them. "This marriage, this treaty, it came from our Senate. We sued for peace because continuing meant extinction. For us too. Then why fight like that?" Lyra leaned forward. "Why spend so much blood for systems you couldn't hold? Your colonial worlds were indefensible. Logic demanded retreat." "Logic," Marcus said slowly, "isn't always the dominant voice in human decision-making. Then what is?" He was quiet for a long time. Outside their window, repair crews moved across the damaged station, their welding torches like small stars against the dark. "Spite," he said finally. "Pride, the inability to accept that the universe gets to tell us what to do." He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Your people calculated that fighting us wasn't worth the cost. That's wisdom. We calculated the same thing and fought anyway. That's humanity." Lyra processed this. Her people valued logic, efficiency, survival. The idea of fighting a war you knew you'd lose seemed like madness. Yet she'd seen the casualty reports. She knew what human resistance had cost the Valkyrie fleets. "You could have run today," she said. "I thought about it. Why didn't you?" Marcus looked at her, really looked at her, maybe for the first time since their wedding. "Because you were there. And spite isn't the only thing humans are good at." The words hung between them. Lyra felt something shift in her understanding. This man who'd been forced into marriage for politics, who'd been polite and distant and careful, had thrown himself into death because she'd been in danger. Not from duty, not from orders, from choice. "The war is over," she said softly. "I know. We're supposed to be building peace." "I know that too. Then teach me." Lyra stood, moved to the window. Her reflection glowed in the glass. "Teach me how humans can be both. How you can serve tea one day and hold a corridor alone the next. How you can lose a war and still claim you won." Marcus joined her at the window. This close, she could see the exhaustion in his face, the price his body would make him pay for what he'd done. But underneath the weariness, something else lived. Something that wouldn't break. "We don't claim we won," he said. "We just refuse to accept we lost." He touched the glass where the repair crews worked. Every time the universe tells us to quit, to give up, to accept reality, some part of us says no. It's not logical. It's probably not even healthy. But it's what kept us alive long enough to get out of the caves, off our planet, into the stars. And it's what made you so dangerous. Yes. Is it what will make you a good husband? Marcus turned to look at her. For the first time, Lyra saw uncertainty in his face. The warrior faded. The man remained. I don't know, he admitted. I didn't expect this to become real. Neither did I. They stood together in silence, watching the crews repair what violence had broken. Outside, in the diplomatic halls, officials would be discussing security improvements and treaty clauses. Inside, something more important was being negotiated without words. Lyra reached out slowly and took Marcus's hand. His skin was warm, the grip gentle despite the strength she'd seen him use. He didn't pull away. She felt his pulse through his wrist, steadier now, the adrenaline finally gone. Teach me about humans, she said again. Not the sanitized diplomatic version. The real thing. Marcus squeezed her hand carefully. It might take a while. We have time. The war is over. The war is over, he agreed. Then added, but we're still here. Yes, Lyra said, and found herself smiling. We're still here. In the end, perhaps that was the most human thing of all. To survive. To adapt. To find something worth protecting, even when everything else had burned. She'd married a human for peace and discovered something fiercer than war, something that might actually last. She'd found someone who refused to quit,